Out beyond ideas of wrongdoing and right doing, there is a field. I'll meet you there. When the soul lies down in that grass, the world is too full to talk about. Ideas, language, even the phrase each other doesn't make sense. Hi everyone. As I mentioned during the last episode, Lynn joined Yvette and I after our chat, and we had lunch together at a noisy and vibey restaurant in Muizenberg. This is unfortunately also where we recorded this episode, which makes the sound quality not good. I apologize for that again. I'm so grateful that this day came together and that we get to hear these two amazing ladies' journeys. You may hear some additional laughing in the background. That is Yvette, who sat in during the chat. Thank God for that, because Lynn and I were merrily chatting away when you heard a groan and saw vigorous handshaking from Yvette. She pointed at the laptop screen and drew our attention to the fact that we only had 2% power left. Whew. That was a close call. Thanks, Yvette. Today we hear about Lynn's path. I got to know Lynn when I was doing my secondary rehab treatment. She was the house manager at the female house and also oversaw our art sessions. I am terrible at art, but really enjoyed our sessions with her. Lynn has become, in my eyes at least, some form of an internet sensation. She writes blogs and is involved on various websites and on YouTube. She seems to have made the World Wide Web her playground and looks as if she is thoroughly enjoying it. This podcast is supported by The First Layer, the 12-step workbook on working through the 12 steps in any addiction in 21 sessions. There is also a 24-day coaching and counseling program available based on The First Layer. For more information in this regard, go to www.freddy.org.za and click through from the notices at the right of the homepage. From drug addict and alcoholic to super mom and cyberspace conqueror, let's hear Lynn's story. Sit back and enjoy. Lynn, welcome to Meet Me in the Field. How are you doing?
Thanks, Freddie. I'm doing great. Yourself?
It's good to see you. I haven't seen you in... I've been clean now for 8.5 years.
So
it must have been
years.
About there, yeah, because you left very, very soon after I got clean.
I think that's correct.
Yeah, absolutely. How long have you been out of Cape Town?
I've been out of Cape Town for nearly 7 years.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because where did you go? Because you were at the secondary house. Then where did you go from there?
I left and I started working for myself.
Okay.
I enjoyed working at the clinic. It was definitely a good grounding for my recovery. Probably gave me the edge that some people don't have. But I think living in that environment can get a little bit too 12-steppy, a little bit too much of recovery. I needed to live more of a normal life.
Balanced life.
A more balanced life, yes. And I started working for myself, doing books for my father, for my sister, for a couple of other companies.
Is that what you did for a living before you came into recovery?
No, I worked for my father as a buyer and a creditors clerk for a geotechnical engineering firm.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because I read your book recently.
Oh dear. Yes.
And I couldn't help think the whole time, I wonder what she does for a living. Or I wonder what she did for a living. Because it sounds relatively chaotic.
It was very chaotic, and part of that I was actually working for my father.
So hence you could possibly get away with some stuff that you would know, or not necessarily.
Partly not. I started working for my father about 2 years after I finished school.
Okay.
And then I worked for him for a couple of years, and then I left and I worked for a couple of other firms. And then I went back to my father's company again.
Okay.
After that. But working for my father's company, it did give my parents a bit more insight into how chaotic my life was.
Okay.
In some ways I got away with more, but in other ways it actually led to me landing up in rehab faster than if I wasn't working there.
Cool. How long was the period of chaos?
The period of chaos,
Yeah.
it was a long period. It was about 15 years.
Okay.
From about the age of 14 until 29.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sure. That's a long time. And you're sitting here alive and looking healthy. It's amazing. It's amazing how grateful the body can be.
Definitely. I consider myself very fortunate. Considering my lifestyle, there's a number of things that should have gone wrong.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, I should be dead. I should
The
probably
fact
have
that
AIDS.
I'm alive as well.
You know, it's. I'm very grateful that I've had a lot of narrow escapes.
I hate it when people say, I found it very honest. Because how do I know you were honest? But I found your book very raw, if I can put it that way. It was
Yes.
very... It wasn't meant to shock. It was just, this is how it was. And
Yeah.
I think, I kept on reading it and think, I wonder how people not in recovery finds this. Because we kind of get really desensitized to people's stories.
Yes.
And other people will kind of, oh my God, like our friend Wendy, we were sitting
Yes.
with our husbands around the table one night, and Wendy and I were talking about our self-talk, these things we say to ourselves. And our husbands went, do you really say those things to yourself? And we're like,
Yes.
oh. Why? Because it
Because
comes
that's
into
what we
heads.
believe.
Because that's what goes on in here. They were really smart. And I think in a big way, we sit here talking, we are really honestly raw about our feelings of what's going on for us. And it's as if real life has a filter. And we've kind of, our addiction took the luxury of a filter away from us. If we're not raw, we're not going to be honest. Enough about me. What about you? What do you think of me?
I love you, Freddie.
You seem very close to your parents.
Yes.
Has that always been the case for you?
That's a difficult question. It's a very difficult question. I've always been incredibly close to my parents, but I've been very dishonest to them.
Okay, yeah. Yeah, of course.
I was dishonest to myself, and for a lot of my life, my parents didn't understand where I was. And there was a period of time in my teenage years where everything went off the rails, where I was, I don't know how to put it other than I was absolutely horrible to my mother. And I truly believed she was out to get me. Now that I'm a mother, I look back and I get chills, you know. And my mom has a lot of regrets. Now that she knows what she knows, she's studied psychology now.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And she's gotten very involved in the family programs.
Okay.
Her own brother was an alcoholic and he died
Oh, no.
a while back, a couple of years back, from alcoholism.
Oh, no.
You know, there's a lot of all of us looking back and reflecting on how we could have done things differently.
Okay, yeah.
And for my mother, I think she has a lot of regrets. In my book, there was that one part about me drinking Stopane out the bottle. And she read that. No, that was on my blog. And she read that, and she phoned me and she said, people are going to think that I'm a bad mother. And I can actually remember the Stopane going down, but I couldn't figure out where it was going. She said, never in my wildest dreams would I have thought that it was my child at 6 years old drinking Stopane out the bottle.
That was you.
Yeah.
One part of that was in your book.
You know, I think a lot of what I've shared has possibly hurt my mom, but maybe given her some more clarity.
Yeah.
And she said that if she had have had a bit more insight, she could have got me into the child's, the adolescent unit at Kenilworth Clinic.
Yeah. Kaya.
Yeah. But, you know, we can't sit here and point fingers and live with regret. We can only really move forward.
Yeah.
And my mother and I have had quite an amazing journey since I got clean.
Oh, cool.
We've always been close, but we've kind of wanted to kill each other a lot of the time.
Yeah.
But we've gotten a lot closer, especially now that I've become a mother and I've got better understanding.
Ah.
And
You feel dry.
well, you know, it's quite funny. I can remember my mother when I was a little tot. I remember her saying to me, "One day when you're a mother, you're gonna get this back tenfold." And I hope I don't. I don't mind if I get it back tenfold now for a couple of years, but if I get tenfold what I gave out in my teenage years,
Oh my God.
I'm not gonna survive.
Yeah. It's like that one Bill Cosby quote Bill Cosby quote.
Yes.
Where his father always said, I brought you into this world,
Yes.
I'll take you out again.
My parents always say that as well.
I love that. I think I would have been that father, you know, kind of, I did not bring you to 16 for you to tell me fuck off. No,
Exactly.
it's not going to
Exactly.
happen. If you go on my terms.
Exactly. But on the bright side, I think if my children do turn out to be addicts or alcoholics, I've got a little bit more insight than my mother, and I've got my beady eye on them, and I know what to look out for.
Yeah.
And, working at Harmony was like working with a bunch of kids, you know.
Absolutely.
So hopefully I'll be able to help my children if they're in the same situation.
I've got somebody close to me at the moment whose 19-year-old son is going through possible addiction, and she's an addict. And she is so good with him because she really, really, well, you can never really know what somebody feels, but she's completely open with him, and he's actually completely honest with her. And that makes such a difference in how they are dealing with this thing. So I find that quite beautiful. Then did you grow up with religion?
No.
Not
Not at all.
Nothing at all?
Not at all. My mother grew up with religion.
Okay.
She grew up as a Catholic in a convent.
Oh, wow.
Scared of dying. She used to pray that she would go to confession, walk out and get hit by a bus so that she doesn't go to hell. Because if you have one bad thought, and I think
oh my God,
through that, my mother, we were brought up in a non-religious household.
Okay.
Not an atheist household or anything like that, but it was a non-religious family.
Okay.
Yeah.
And your schooling, was that in what did they call it, Christelike Nasionale Onderwys?
So what?
Christian National.
We went to Fisher School. There was religious studies, and there was stuff like that. I didn't really take part.
Okay.
They tried to force me, and I said no.
Okay.
Otherwise, Mum, you can talk to my mum. It wasn't really a religious school as such, and it wasn't the religion that I took offense to. It was specifically one thing I walked out of it in the school hall was when there was someone that came from a church to preach, and they basically read a passage in the Bible and said, this is how you must interpret it, and if you don't, then you're wrong. And they basically said that everybody's wrong but them. And there were Jews in the hall.
Okay.
And there were Muslims in the hall. And I'm not even religious, and I was offended. So I left.
Oh, you must have been popular.
No, I walked out. And the one teacher asked me where I'm going, and I said, I'm going to go sit in the library. And he kind of had it out with me, and I said, well, you can phone my mother if you want, but I'm going to go sit in the library because, no, it's wrong. I've got nothing against religion, but I just don't feel that it's... Who was it? I think Barry Ronger, the one Sunday Times wrote, what was it he wrote about religion? Basically, we'll have the devil sitting up and taking notes.
Yeah.
And that's quite right.
I wish I had that conviction as a teenager. I was this compliant little person, and I so wish that I could have had the chutzpah to get up and say, I don't agree with this. I never knew what I believed. I only believed what you told me was okay to believe.
Yeah.
I never had the conviction of an own opinion. So my opinion was a religious opinion because that's what I was told to do. So well done.
Well, that's why my mother brought me up to, believe in what you believe and have faith in, whatever it is that you
Excellent.
like.
So you've had a good kickstart in life.
I did.
Because that's one thing that I had to learn in life. Because what do I believe in? What do I think? What do I like? What don't I like?
Well, I've got to say one thing about my parents. Look, I'm not quite sure what went wrong with me drinking Stopane at 6. But other than that little problem, my home life, my parents were and still are absolutely amazing.
Fantastic.
Sure, they made mistakes, but no one's perfect. But, if I look at other people and their family, their upbringing, their parents, I've got to say that I really did land with my bum in the butter.
Oh, wonderful. That's excellent. It's so nice to hear children saying that about their parents.
I hope my kids are going to say that about me.
There you go. So Lynn, what's your goal in life? For my children to say what I said on what's today's date? on that day, on that podcast.
Well, I think it's about time I said something nice about my mum after all those teenage years, I've got some catching up to do.
There you go, Mrs. Lynn's mom. Listen to this. She believes it. Margaret.
Yeah.
Believe what she's saying. I can look in her face, she means it.
Yeah.
That's awesome. So you said you started with your shenanigans at the age of 14.
Yeah.
Okay. And you've obviously done a lot of work on yourself.
Yes.
Because we don't stay clean and sober by just sitting in a room and doing nothing.
Yeah.
What made you start doing what you did at the age of 14?
There's something very specific. There's a series of incidents that happened which was very traumatic that sparked it off. And I'll tell you about that. But before I do that, I want to say that I don't believe that is the cause of my addiction.
Okay, cool.
I was drinking Stopain at the age of 6.
So I started acting out at the age of 5.
Yeah, so no matter what, I was doomed to become an addict. That I truly believe.
Just needed to.
But what took things spiraling out of control, first thing that happened when I was about 14, 13. About 13, I was in standard 7.
Grade 9.
So basically what happened then is, firstly, I never really felt my whole life that I fit in anywhere. I've always had, you talk about the negative self-talk.
Yvette and I'm looking to give each other the eye. We had the same conversation.
Well, I think every addict has that.
Yeah.
I've always
It's
felt like
freaky.
I don't fit. Like I'm a square peg and the hole is round. And I've always felt like there's something deeply, innately wrong with me. Yeah, and I've always wanted to fit in. I've just wanted friends and stuff. And I mean, I had a couple of friends, but mostly when I was in grade 9, I felt, you know, it was also going from a small little school, Cork Bay Primary, where everybody knows everyone else, plus their brothers, sisters, grannies, grandpas, aunties, uncles, to this big school. And very soon after I landed up in that school, about a year after I landed up in the school, my mom and dad sat me down. And my parents are a lot more open-minded and stuff now. But then if you talk about sex, my mother would probably fall over dead with a red face. And they sat me down and they very embarrassedly tried to have a conversation with me about rumors that had gotten back to them. And apparently I was rather an active sexual child.
Ooh.
Which I wasn't. I'd never kissed a
Damn,
boy
so you missed out on
or
all
held
of it.
hands or anything. But apparently I was giving blowjobs to boys and sleeping with everyone. And this rumor got into my parents.
Oh my God.
So
And you had no
I was
idea
the
this
last
was going around.
to find out. I don't know
So
who
that
started.
was a good rumor.
We
Because that's
still don't
normally
know. No, we still don't know who started it or how, why, nothing. And you know, I was so humiliated. I didn't know what a blowjob was. I had to ask someone at school.
Yeah.
You know, that's how innocent I was.
And did they believe you?
My parents,
Yeah.
they did. They wanted to believe me, and they tried to, but the rumors kept coming, and they kept sitting me down. And they kept. I mean, the one rumor was that I gave someone a blowjob at school, and they gave me in exchange for a bicycle. So basically, I prostituted for a bicycle. And like I said to my parents, I'm like, "Do you see a bicycle?" You know what I mean?
Where did you think I hide the bicycle?
It was. So I mean, there was a number of things that happened. I mean, the humiliation with my parents was so
oh my
intense.
God, that must be awful.
And for my parents, it was horrible. And they did try to believe me. But, you know, when it just keeps on coming,
Yeah.
what do you do? And they were worried. And then I started being very angry. And at school, none of the boys showed interest in me as a person. Unless, of course, they thought that I was loose.
Yeah.
And they showed interest in me like that with lewd comments and
Oh
stuff.
my God.
And of course, none of the girls wanted to be seen with me because I'm
Yeah.
a school tramp. And none of the kids' mothers wanted me at their house.
Oh my God. The
It was,
ramifications.
you know, Fishhook it's a little valley.
Yeah.
And I was known as the tramp amongst parents, children.
You were
the
basically
school.
persona non grata. Nobody wanted to get close to
And
you.
I'd never
You
even
were
held
the
hands with a
leper.
boy. You know, I felt like I was thrown under the train, you know.
Yeah.
And it was horrible. And then you've got the middle school and the high school. So the middle school is 8, 9, and grade 8, 9, and 10. And
Yeah.
the high school
11 and 12.
is 8, 9, 10. No, I've got it all wrong. It was standard 5, 6, and 7, whatever
Okay.
that may be.
Yeah.
And then grade 8, 9, and 10 in the high school.
Cool.
So 10, 11, and 12. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. And when I moved between the two, when I was 14, we went away for a holiday, and I met a boy from Durban.
Ah.
That was really cute and seemed interested in me. And of course, he doesn't know me, so
Yeah.
he doesn't know
All
any of the rumors.
Yeah.
And I had my first kiss.
Ah.
And he asked me to sneak out that night, which I did. And he raped me.
Oh my God.
And my dad was looking for me. And when I came back into the tent, my dad was waiting for me. And I wanted to tell him, but he just looked at me with disgust and said I didn't bring my daughters up to be like this.
Oh my God.
You know, I think you can imagine it just went spiraling out of control. And I never said anything. You know, I was kind of still okay after that. But then a couple of months later, I was raped again.
Oh.
And the same guy came to my house while my parents were there, an older guy in his late 20s, and he started going into my little sister's room. And my mom kept asking me, what's this guy doing here? And, you know, looking back, I can tell what I should have done. And looking back, I don't beat myself up anymore.
Yeah.
But when you're 14, 15 years old, and you think your little sister's going to be raped and you're going to be blamed for it.
Oh my God.
That situation luckily got resolved in an unexpected way, and nothing happened to my sister, thankfully.
Hallelujah.
I'm very grateful. Yeah, after that I started cutting. And I didn't know why I was doing it, but it just made me feel better.
Did you know what cutting was?
No.
Or was it something that... It's amazing how it just...
No.
It finds us.
I didn't know what it was. I didn't know why I was doing it. I didn't think... Every time I thought about it, I just pushed it out of my mind because I didn't want to go there. And then my mother saw blood on my school sheet going through my white shirt. And she freaked out, wanted to know what I'm doing. And I stopped cutting after that. But then I got involved with, started dating the bad boy at school.
Okay. So this had to come out somehow. It's not going to be in cutting, it's going to be in something
And then I
else.
started drinking, I started smoking weed, I just hated everybody. I hated my mother, I was just, screw everybody. I just did whatever I wanted. I was just like a big burning ball of anger, you know, and I mean, from there, just...
Sure. And was there ever a phase in your life that you can remember kind of looking for, what can you call it, a spiritual guidance?
No.
Or did you just assume this is it?
No, I
this
was on
now how it's going to
self-destruct.
be.
I was on from the age, from the cutting, I was just on self-destruct. It was like a switch went.
Fuck this shit.
The fuck it switched. It just went off, and I was like just out of control. Yeah.
Oh my God, just listening to this, it's kind of, no.
And of course, then the sex and love addiction spiraled out of control, abusive relationships.
Of course, yeah. The table was set. You just sat down for the feast.
Yeah, that's it.
That's exactly what happened there.
Yeah.
So, now fast forward now a few years. How did it happen that you ended up in Rio?
Well, I first landed up in the psych ward.
Okay.
Because I went to work black and blue, beaten, black and blue, and my dad phoned my mother, and my mother came and fetched me, and basically took me to a counsellor, and then took me to the psych ward.
Was that from that abusive relationship?
Yeah. And I actually escaped out of the psych ward, and I snuffed some coke, and I went back. Which, as normal people do, right? And this kind of hinted to the facility I was in that I might just have a substance abuse problem.
Might just.
Which I denied. And I went to my first NA meeting, which my psychiatrist said I had to do. And I was diagnosed bipolar when I was in the psych ward. And then I was told to please stay away from alcohol and stuff so I can have further assessments when I left, which I didn't do. And then my parents wanted me to go to rehab, which I refused to do because I don't have a problem. So eventually, because I was still drinking and they found out about it on various occasions, I went to the outpatient unit at Kenilworth Clinic. But I didn't stop using. And then towards the end of that, I landed up in tertiary care while completing the program, which I actually completed. I think Kenilworth thought that the house was testing me, and the house thought that Kenilworth was testing me. So I actually completed the program so I could prove to my parents I was sober. But then I was still using, but I had one night where I took it too far, which was inevitable. And I was at my ex's house, the one that, which was abusive. And, obviously I was kicked out of the house. And then after that, I landed up in secondary care. And that's when I started turning the corner.
Okay.
Yeah. So I went about things a little bit backwards.
No, really.
Yeah.
Just completely wrong. So now you get to treatment. Now you read step 2 and 3. Mm-hmm. Did you freak out at the word God in the steps?
No, I didn't actually.
Not.
And the reason why, I think, is because there's one thing that freaked me out a lot. And that's where after I signed myself in, I then asked the question of how long am I here for? And I found out it was 3 weeks, and I kind of went a bit white. But when I went to treatment, I was not there to get clean. I went to treatment to prove to my parents that I don't have a problem.
Oh my God. Yeah, like I went to treatment just to let the chaos go away. I had no intention of stopping. I just wanted the chaos to
That's
stop.
right. So I didn't want to stop using. I didn't actually think I had a problem. I know it's crazy, but I really, truly didn't believe I had a problem.
It is so weird. I mean, I've read the book, and I think,
Yeah, you've read the book.
Jesus,
And then you realized I didn't think I had a problem.
this is so funny.
Have your laugh.
I actually, had I not read the book for a few weeks ago, I would have sat here thinking, Shane. I haven't read the book and think, fuck, dude.
Might I add that I'm always careful what I say. And even I asked my mother to please not read the book, just in case she decided to read the book. I can just tell you that there's a lot more shit that is not in that book.
There was absolutely no doubt about
It goes darker, it goes deeper, it goes a lot more hectic, and I will not breathe a soul of that in case my mother hears it, okay? My mum promised me she
Can
would
I
read the book.
ghostwrite for you?
Yeah,
We make them my stories.
we could do that, because I would love to
Yes.
get it out there.
Let's get it out there. I'll
Yeah.
ghostwrite for you.
No,
Or
this-
you want to do the writing? It's actually interesting.
I've wanted to
So all
write,
three of us to write.
I've actually wanted to write a book which shares everything, and I had difficulty. You'll notice in the book that all the, I can't remember what I called them, but the men was all the same
That
name,
was
and
so
the woman was
clever
the
of
same
you to
name
do
because
that. Bob and
Bob and Jill or Bob and
I can't
something.
remember. That was very clever. When I read it, I thought, oh, wow, this is really
Because
really
it's not
clever to
just
do
my
that.
story.
Yeah.
You know, there's a lot more people
Yeah.
that are involved, and I didn't want to give anyone else a story around.
I really thought that was very, very clever of
Yeah.
you to do it that way.
But if I go further, there's a lot more stuff.
Yeah.
And
You have to add a few names to the list.
there's a lot of names, and even if I don't put names, but if I write it, people will know who it is. They know who I'm referring to.
Okay.
You know, and I speak now about my abusive relationships, and I've come to, I think, a very good place where I used to have a lot of anger, and that last relationship, I really loved him. And I wanted him to love me so badly, but he just seemed like he hated me.
Yeah.
He was screaming at me every night. It was so abusive. And he would gaslight me. I would say the next day, "Why did you scream at me?" "No, I didn't." "Why did you do that to me?" "No, I didn't." And I hated him. And I didn't want an apology, even. I just wanted him to say, "I did those things to you.
Yeah.
I admit that I did them." He could have said, "I'm glad I did it." That would have been fine. I just wanted
Yeah.
to hear him say he did it.
But you're not going mad.
And I hit quite a challenge in my recovery because of that. But now that I'm nearly 10 years clean, I can look at it and I can say I feel so badly for him. Because he's not a bad person. He came from an abusive household.
Okay.
His father abused his mother.
Oh.
He's an alcoholic and a drug addict as well. And he did love me. I can see that now. But he
Just
couldn't
didn't know
stop
how
himself.
to-
It's an addiction as
Yeah.
well. And the only way, he couldn't tell me he'd done it because he can't admit it to himself.
Just that you could admit you had a
I
problem.
consider myself grateful now
Yeah.
because I've moved forward. I have healed from this. I can say that I've survived the abuse. How is he going to reconcile with himself? How did he do those things to the
Yeah.
person he loved? I feel so much for him.
Yeah.
And especially because he's not in recovery. The way he is now, he's going to continue doing that to every person he loves.
Oh,
I can have compassion for him. And I've forgiven him.
thank God for the program.
Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely.
Otherwise, it'd never been
Definitely, yeah. So to answer your question, by the way, about God, it didn't bother me about the step work in treatment because I didn't do the step work to get clean. I did it to walk the walk, talk the talk, and show everybody, get my little badge at the
Yeah.
end so I can walk out the other side.
there. So what happened?
I don't know. You would think that it would be like an epiphany, like a mind-blowing moment where you suddenly realize that you're an addict.
Yeah.
And it was actually while I was sitting doing step work and I was writing the answer to a question. And I was just thinking to myself, and I suddenly realized that I am an addict and I am actually working the program. It realized that I'm actually answering the question in a truly honest manner. And I thought, I'm not writing it to say the right thing to my sponsor or the right thing to the counselor. I'm actually working the steps. And then I tried to backtrack to pinpoint the moment that this epiphany happened and the moment when I started working the program. And I couldn't. And then it bothered me for ages because it's like, when did this take place? When did the miracle happen?
Yeah.
And I can't pinpoint it. You would have think it would be like this aha moment with this light bulb going off and birds singing.
You know how they say, take the body and the mind will follow?
Yes.
So this is exactly what happened. The body
Yeah.
was there and the mind followed.
Yes.
Without you even realizing the mind had followed.
It was absolutely amazing. And I'm not religious. I've never been, I never will be. My concept of God is something that's personal to me. It's quite frankly nobody else's business. But, you know, if you think about a higher power, in that moment, for me there was a higher power because
Yeah.
what had happened was absolutely powerful. And I didn't have to define what my God was
Yeah.
or what my higher power was. I just had to believe in it and know that it worked for me. And it did. It was
And
there.
it still is.
Yeah, and I don't really have like a clear definition of what it
Yeah.
is, but it's there and it works in my life every day, and I'm grateful.
It shows.
Yeah, I mean it's there. It's obviously there. I'm alive.
Yeah.
You know.
Nearly 10 years later.
Yeah.
You met husband in recovery.
No, he's not an addict.
Oh, yeah, so what I mean is you were clean when you met him.
Yes, I met him.
Okay. And were you immediately forward with him?
Yes,
My name's Lynn.
I did.
I'm an addict. I'm an alcoholic. I'm a love addict.
I didn't
and-
say love addict or sex and love addict. I said I'm an alcoholic and an addict.
Okay. And you're probably taking something on that you shouldn't.
Yeah,
And he was okay with that?
he was amazing, and it's quite amazing how I met my husband. Is
Oh,
that
cool. I love stories like this.
I actually met him online,
Me too.
and oh wow.
Yeah.
I wasn't looking for a husband though.
I was.
Well, then I'm glad to hear that it actually works. No, what happened was I worked in treatment for a long time. All my friends, I dropped all the people that I was friends with when I was using, obviously.
Yeah.
I'd made new friends in recovery, so all my friends were part of the 12-step program. And I got to a stage where I left the treatment center and I was trying to live a more normal, balanced life,
Yeah.
where I would phone someone on a Friday and say like, yay, let's go out to a movie and have some supper. And they'd be like, no, I'm going to the NA 12-step, you know, the
Yeah.
24-hour meeting. And I'm like, oh, okay, cool, have fun. I was doing meetings.
Yeah.
Then I phoned someone else and they're like, no, we're going to the big book study. I'm like, oh, jeez. You know, I just want to go to a movie with a friend. And everyone was so wrapped
Absorbed.
up. And I mean, being an addict and the 12-step program is part of me. It's not the whole of
Yeah.
me. But it seems like everybody was so obsessed and wrapped up in the program, and I wanted to live
It
life.
took me a while to get to that phase.
Yes.
Yeah. I was so absorbed.
But I was so alone.
Yeah. I was so absorbed until I wanted to kill myself because I did not
Oh.
know how to live clean.
Yes.
I did not know how to do the movie thing.
Yeah.
So it took me a long while to get there. So well done for you to kind of snap into that kind of area. So
yeah.
this is
So I went online and I went to Gumtree Community and I started trying to find people. I mean, the thing is, I didn't know where to find friends.
yeah.
The way that I know life is you go to the pub. They're there.
That's
And
exactly
you
why I
get
went
on.
as well. I said, I can't go to pubs and clubs.
And
Where the
everything's
hell
so
am I going to
juiced
meet
up, but
somebody?
it's so easy to talk to people because
Yeah.
everyone's so pissed. But now, how do you not do? Yeah,
I
it
get
was
it.
just I didn't know what to do.
Absolutely get it, yeah.
And I went on to Gumtree Community and I saw that there were people looking for gym partners. I signed up for gym. I went to gym.
Oh, you go, girl.
And I found this. I was looking for women, and I found a lady that like old bat that liked walking in my area around the corner from me. So every day I went walking with her around the block.
Sweet.
But it was something, you know.
Yeah.
It was something more normal, not quite what I wanted.
Yeah.
And then there was a guy that I found that he was gay because I'm a sex and love addict, so I didn't want to meet men.
Cool.
But he was gay and he was also studying, so we hooked up and we would study together.
Oh, cool.
And it was great. You know, I was starting to do
So
more
slowly
normal.
but surely you were doing more normal things with more
Well,
normal
I didn't want to
people.
study with someone, but it was connecting with someone else on a healthy level,
Yeah.
at least. And then I responded to an ad that someone else put up, and it said that this person lived out of Cape Town and would come in on the weekends to do stuff, hiking, movies, that sort of thing. I'm like, yes, this is it.
Yeah.
And I replied, and this chap replied, and I'm like, oh crap, it's a man. And I thought, like, I specifically didn't want to connect with a man because
Yeah.
of my sex and love addiction. I wanted to connect with
How long
women.
were you clean now?
I was nearly 2 years.
Okay.
Nearly.
Okay, so
But no? Yeah,
yeah,
about. I don't know why, but I did email back. And we hooked up on that Saturday night and we just got on like a house on fire. We sat talking till 2 in the morning. And I was a very good girl. I sent him home all all the way to the West Coast at 2 in the morning.
Oh, you go, girl.
He did kiss me though.
So you kissed on the first day?
I did. It was an improvement, let me tell you. I hope my mother's not listening. Anyway, but it was lovely, and we got on really well. And I did tell him about being an addict, and he was cool with it.
Awesome.
Yeah, and we went horse riding, we went hiking, we went to movies, we did all sorts of normal stuff.
Yeah.
And we could talk.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, we spoke better than we do now after 7 years of marriage. But I mean, mostly it's been really good. And then I actually fell pregnant. We met on the 28th of November, 2010. And by, I think, 21st of February, I found out I was 4 weeks pregnant.
Oh my God.
So, yeah, we got married and started a family.
And you both knew this is the way you want to go with it?
Well, he told me he wanted to marry me anyway.
Oh, cool.
But now that I'm pregnant, maybe we should just, hurry it up. And then I moved to West Coast.
Feel? How did it feel to be in a non-abusive relationship for you?
It was hard, in a lot of ways. It was weird. And when we fought, there's been times we fought that I've acted like a complete animal. And he doesn't shout.
Oh, wow.
But it's kind of like I'm so used to abuse that I want him to put his fist up, and then I'm like, come on, fight, you bastard.
Yeah.
And he's just like, honey, calm down. Have a cup of tea,
Calm down.
Exactly. And then I'll go like ape shit. But I've gotten better. There's still a lot of stuff in relationships that I'm not good at. If he's unhappy about something, and I'll be like, oh yeah, and what about this and this and this and this?
God.
I've got a list for you, buddy, that I'm not happy with, so shut up.
Once a street fighter, always a street fighter. Is that what we...
Yeah, exactly. So I think I've given him a bit of a tough time. But
you're worth it.
Yes, I'm worth it. I've grown a lot. I've learned a lot. And I think he makes me a better person.
Oh, wow.
A much better person. I don't think I do much for him.
Obviously not.
But he does a lot for me. He's made me a much better person. He's grounded me.
Well, between the two of you must have something. Because if I look at the picture of the children, they are so gorgeous.
Well, he is very hot.
Is he?
Yes.
I don't think I've ever seen it. Oh my God, now I'm going to start stalking her on Facebook.
He doesn't like Facebook and social media. You won't find him there.
Then I have to go and visit.
I can send you a picture. No, he's perfect for me.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
So, from what I can gather, is Lynn today is somebody who seems to really know who she is, what she stands for, and what she wants out of life. And she knows that there are certain things that she needs to do to stay on that path to get there. And that's what you do.
Definitely.
And more than that, there isn't.
Well, no, actually what I find is that I'm learning about myself every day. And I'm growing as a person every day. And I'm always changing. Not like a chameleon changes its spots every day.
Like we do.
Yeah, like we used to. But more, I'm coming into my own, my being, more and more every day. The more I work the program, and the longer I am in recovery, the kind of more at peace I am with myself. And every time I share my story, it kind of lifts a bit more of the burden away. Yeah. And I'm a lot happier. I'm the happiest now today than I've been in my entire life.
Amazing.
Which is, it's quite an accomplishment. And, for most of my life, I mean, even up until a couple of years clean, I didn't believe that I would ever be happy or worthwhile or anything. And it's amazing because, just before my 1 year clean time, I thought, hey, I'm the man, woman. And I've done this. I've waxed. This is... And I look back now and I realize that even up until 4 years clean, you're actually sitting on the edge of a cliff. And you don't... Sorry. But you don't realize it. You don't realize how close you are to relapse and how treacherous it actually is. It's only now, close on 10 years later, I can look back and say, geez, I'm lucky.
That's one thing I make a point of saying in meetings to newer people is, guys, early recovery is difficult. Don't let people tell you differently.
Yeah.
And don't let old timers tell you it gets more difficult the longer you clean. That's bullshit. What I find is it gets difficult because I think I can do it on my own.
Yeah.
And that's when I go through pain. It's when I think I don't need to do what I need to do when I go get into shit. But life gets so much better. Just get through this and just keep on going forward.
But that's something else, is that I might be nearly 10 years clean, but I had an episode, well, actually I did use drugs, maybe that's bad to say, but that was an accident. I'll explain. This year, I actually had a miscarriage, and I didn't realize I was pregnant until I was losing my baby, and I was in hospital, and I had to have an operation, ectopic pregnancy, so I had to actually have a cesarean section to remove my tube and my baby. There was no choice, because my baby would never have made it, and the only thing that would have happened is I would have died of internal bleeding.
Oh my God.
My internal bleeding was actually quite severe. That's why I went to hospital. I thought my appendix was bursting. And after the operation, the doctor said to me, I see that on your chart it says we must only give you paracetamol because you're an addict, but I want you to know that just in case you do need it, you can ask the nurse for morphine. I've just put a little note here. And I nearly did it. I
can imagine.
I told him to come back in 5 minutes. I thought about why do I want the morphine, and it had nothing to do with the physical.
Are you serious?
Nothing. I just wanted to blot out the last 24 hours out of my mind, the loss, the pain, the confusion, the shock.
Yeah.
And that for me was an absolutely terrifying moment. So I mean, nearly 10 years clean, you think you've made it, you're in the safe, you're in the clear, and there's something like that comes out of nowhere and knocks you for a sixer.
Yeah.
And morphine is handed to you on a platter
Oh my God.
to take away that emotional pain.
Yeah.
And I managed to say no.
Wow, well done.
But I think it's just because I realized where that was coming from.
Yeah.
But my mind was telling me it was for the physical. So that was close, you know. And then actually a few days later, I went back to my GP for a checkup, and he asked me, how's the pain meds working? And I laughed. I said, well, paracetamol doesn't really do much. So he said, okay, I'll give you something else. And I've been with this GP now since I've been in the West Coast. He's been absolutely amazing. And I got home, and for a couple of days I felt great. My husband was like, those kids are around. I'm like, hey, leave them, they're fine. I was like so relaxed. And then on the third day, I started feeling jittery and, you know, fidgety.
Yeah.
And I suddenly realized, oh, let's take my meds. And I thought, oh, shit. 3 o'clock, and I'm wanting meds. There's something here.
Yeah.
Anyway, my husband looked it up for me. I was on tramadol.
Oh my God.
And I'm not going to blame my doctor or anybody here. Lots of my mother-in-law's cross. She's like, you must take it up with him. And no. And I'm like, no, it's not a... I'm the addict. It's my responsibility.
Yeah.
I should have checked the meds. When I go to the doctor, I always say, I'm an addict. Remember, no addictive substances. I forgot to say that this time.
Do you know how often my house doctor and I would sit talking about my recovery, about how's it going?
Yeah.
Bada, get to the pharmacy. And I always say when I hand the script over, I say to them, just make sure there's no ephedrine, pseudoephedrine or codeine in. And every single time there will be.
Exactly.
And I also wrote an article for my blog saying, I don't blame him. My recovery is my responsibility.
Yes,
so
and every time I've been to the doctor, I tell them
Yeah.
that I'm an addict and I can't have this. And then when I get home, I check it. I check every little ingredient online before I take it. If it's not paracetamol, I check everything.
I've got a pharmacist
and
sister, so I just
do
call
that.
her. Okay.
I didn't do that. I just popped it.
Yeah.
You know, and so yes, I used drugs this year. That was an oversight. It was a mistake. And thankfully, when I realized it, okay, I freaked out a bit. But I went off it.
The relapse would have been if you knowingly took it again.
Yeah.
Then it's a relapse, absolutely.
I'm not ashamed. I'm going to, you know.
The same happened to me. I had a chest cold and I went to the pharmacy. Also, same pharmacy. How's your addiction going? And alcoholism and bada. Get my cough mixture, get in the car, take a few big sips. Stop at the traffic light and think, what a lovely warm glow is. What was in this? Took the bottle. Yep.
There you go.
X%.
Yeah.
Jumped out, immediately threw it in the dustbin and continued driving.
Yeah.
Yeah. The relapse would be if I done, alcohol. That's where they should sit.
Well, we kept our meds because my husband said, "Hey, you paid for those. I'll keep them as a painkiller for something." So they're actually still at home. But yeah, I don't feel a need to touch anything.
Awesome. When you look at your children,
Yes.
do you see you in them? Do you see a little? What do you see?
My children. My son has some characteristics that I
Okay,
find
this-
concerning.
Just stop there for a second. You must see her face. I wish that was the softest face I've ever seen. She turned to Patty. Oh, this is so cute.
No, my children are amazing. My daughter is a bit anxious and likes to get everything right. When she lies, I can see it immediately.
Oh, sweet.
She usually doesn't lie, but if she does, anybody could see it.
You
Anyone.
can't bullshit the bullshit.
My son, on the other hand, lies so smoothly that I look at it and I'm like, oh my God, you get that from me.
God, you're good.
Yeah. And I look at that, I'm like, oh, that's trouble. That's big trouble. Yeah, you see, did you do that? Nope, Callista did it. And I'm like, no, you did. Nope, she did it. And I asked my daughter, she's like, no, I didn't do it. And I'm like, oh, you see. And I think that smooth lying gets me very edgy, and I'm sure you know why. And he's only 4. And I used to steal my dad's coins when I was little. Last year, when my son was 3, I asked the class, every week you bring money for, what do they call it? Tuck shop, but they call it something else. They call it,
In my day, they call it tuck.
no, the Afrikaans thing, the Snoopy.
Snoopy,
I still got to use the Afrikaans thing.
By the way, this extra voice that you hear is Yvette still sitting with us. So the extra laugh, the extra voice.
Yeah.
If you've been wondering what the hell's going on.
Yeah, you're just enjoying it.
Yeah. It's so nice having you here.
So the one week I went to them on Snoopy's on a Friday, and I said to the teacher, do I need to give some money for Snoopy? No, Skalk brought it in yesterday. I say, hey, what? No, he's been stealing coins and taking it into the school every week on top of the money I bring. And you know,
So you used to be running an investment scheme without your
I used to do that when I was little. Sorry, Mom, if you're listening. Sorry, Dad. But my dad used to hang his pants over the couch and go over the shower as soon as he came home from work.
Yeah.
And my mom used to then take the pants off the chair and put it in the wash.
Yeah.
But if you can get in that sweet spot in between and empty out those coins, perfect.
Are you serious?
Yeah. And then I found out and then I used to take it to school. I used to blow it on the tuck shop. Now I found out my son
Your
has got
4-year-old
Snoopy.
son.
He was 3.
3-year-old
3,
son.
and he'd been doing it for weeks. I found out my 3-year-old son has been handing over Snoopy money every week.
Oh my God, you
And
are going to be tested
yeah,
to the nth
look, I
degree.
don't know if that means anything, but I'm on it. I'm on it like a ton of bricks.
Like, all over him like a rash.
Exactly. So yes, I see that he's got a lot of characteristics that I have, and some of them I look and I think, oh, cute, and some of them I think, oh, shit. So I'm laughing about it, but it's also
But like everything in life, that's awareness. If you're aware of it, you can kind of catch it early, point it out, and kind of deal with it. But that's awesome. But this was so cool. I loved it. Anything else you would like to add?
I think that's it.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So, just for all of us, if you want to, you don't have to. Where do we find you on the internet?
Where will you not find it?
I am in every corner of the www. The World Wide Web is mine.
Okay, well, I mean, for addiction, you can look for me at linlivingwithaddiction.com. I don't write on there often anymore. I was very busy. It's a hobby of mine. So it's LYNNE, livingwithaddiction.com. And then I have written a few addiction articles on my parenting website, which is kaboki.com.
Okay.
And that's KABOUTJIE.com.
Cool.
And those are my 2 main spots.
Cool.
Yeah.
So we'll find you there.
Awesome.
Thank you very, very much. Guys, this was very, very nice. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
I'm going to be on a high for a few days after this. Thank you.
Lynn surely does have a story of hope. I'm very happy that we managed to get her to talk to Meet Me in the Field. I referred to Lynn's book during our chat. This is an ebook that she wrote. It is called The Darkest Hour is Just Before Dawn. It is available at Smashwords, which is at www.smashwords.com/books/view/680687. And it's available for under $5. Go check it out. I think it is a worthwhile afternoon read, especially on a cold afternoon in bed on your Kindle. Lynn has come such a long way in her journey. As she says, her spirituality is quite personal, but we do not need to delve into it to know that she's living it. As Yvette mentioned, it is through Lynn that she got into recovery. Lynn carries the message of recovery loudly, proudly, and clearly. Please follow her on lynnlivingwithaddiction.com. She's also very active on a parenting website called Kaboki. You can find her there at kaboki.com or catch her on YouTube. Just look for Lynn Huysman. If you want to know more about what I do, please feel free to connect with me on my website, which is www.freddy.org.za, or find me on Facebook at www.facebook.com/freddy.org.za, or on Twitter at @RensburgFreddy. Remember that Freddy is always spelled with an IE at the end. I want to thank you for listening. Be safe. Bye.